What's up, traders? Gates Adams here, the Forge Trader, back with another update. So my number on screen does not represent my behavior. I was up $954 today on my one still surviving account. Put me up over $5,000 in profit on the account. Plenty of buffer. Here's the deal. I went back into old bad habits. As much as I've been talking about this, as much as I have been focused on this, I there were some wild swings today, and I think part of my mind is when a trade is going my way, I start to see it as a winning trade, and then you get this big 30, 40, 50 point 1 minute candle that takes out your stop. I also find myself, whenever I make a mistake, whenever I do something that I know I shouldn't do, and of course ultimately it invariably leads to a losing trade, my immediate reaction is to want to fix that. And today was no different. The only difference was that today it went in my favor. Now, obviously, I've talked about this before. I have made this type of mistake, and it's gone in my favor before. But that's not who and what I want to be as a trader. This is not the type of behavior that I want to exhibit. So my coach spends a lot of time talking about process. And, a lot of this comes from support groups and like AA type groups. Changing behavior and attempting to do so by will and will alone is a recipe for failure. The only way to change behavior, particularly behavior that runs this deep, is through process. So last night I actually reached out to him. And today on one of the group calls that we have, it came up because, of course, after reaching out to him last night saying I want to work on this, this morning, of course, I had a repeat. I continued the behavior that I'm trying to eliminate. The conversation keeps coming back to process. So what is a process for changing behavior like this? Well, ultimately, I think he defines addiction as doing something against one's will. So before trading, before I get into the session, it is my will to stick to a set of rules, to stick to a maximum loss limit, to stick to proper entries, all of these things, to stick to a particular sizing. So when it is my will to stick to that, win or lose, and I don't do so, I am operating against my will. So in a sense, this is a form of addiction. I don't see myself as an addict in any other area of my life. The one that obviously comes to mind immediately is gambling. I certainly don't see myself as a gambling addict. I like to play games of chance. I like to play poker, blackjack, roulette. I enjoy the casinos, but I've never had trouble stopping. So why is this different? Well, at the end of the day, it boils down to what is my definition of a winning trading day? And as much as I would like to say, from a conscious standpoint, my definition of a winning day is sticking to my rules. Deep down, my definition of a winning day is green, and it's green a certain amount. I mean, I did good yesterday. I was up $55, finished with my session as it should have been, and I moved forward. Am I getting better? I don't know. Maybe I am. But the thing is that I am facing this problem through willpower alone. So the first thing that I feel I need to do, and again, this comes from advice from my coach and mentor, is to redefine what winning is to me. What winning is what constitutes a winning day. And he's a big proponent of journaling. When you journal to yourself, you're speaking to the subconscious mind, because again, this is ingrained behavior, which means that this is a subconscious drive, because my conscious mind can't override it. And as I've talked about before, 90% of 90% of our decisions and our actions we do on a day-to-day basis are driven by the subconscious. It's very, very difficult to override the subconscious. You can for a period of time, you can in a particular instance, but from a long-term standpoint, not so much. So he's a big proponent of journaling and journaling the message that you want to send to your subconscious mind. He's a big proponent of mirror work. Say things to yourself in the mirror as a third party. As someone who is looking at you as you happen to be in the mirror and telling you the things that you need to hear, that your subconscious needs to hear. So, first step, journaling. Now, I'm an electronic guy. I think that it's very important to handwrite stuff for stuff like this. It's just an opinion. I don't base that on anything more than that, but I do think it is important. I just don't like paper. So I have one of these remarkable tablets. I love this thing. And so in good old-fashioned Bart Simpson style, I'm going to write to myself 3 times a day and 5 times each session. I just did the first one. Winning is not profit. Winning is process. Profit is the result of process. 5 times. Right? Hand cramps up. Okay, great. My hand will get stronger. Anything that you do repeatedly gets better. So that's where I am for today. I was not going to trade tomorrow. I have a dentist appointment during what would be trading session, so I wasn't going to trade anyway, but I have decided that I am not going to trade for the rest of this week, which means I'm just really giving up Friday. Not as punishment, because I don't think that that's serving me. By the way, for those of you who gave me the accolades on running, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. It's funny. I don't particularly like running, but I've started something. I've run almost every single day since then, willingly and not as a form of self-flagellation. I don't know, some of you guys didn't like that very much. But anyway, and I will be running today, again, not because of my trading, but because that is a movement towards the me that I want to be. Anyway, separate thing. But I'm not going to trade for the next couple of days, because then that gives me today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to go through this process at 15 times a day. Today will only be 10 because I missed the morning, so it just happens to be a time of day thing when all of this came up. So call it 4 days, 15 times. That's 60 repetitions plus today, so 70 repetitions before. Call it 80 because I'll do my first set before, or 75, I guess. I'll do my first set before I start trading on Monday. So 75 repetitions of this concept. Look, I'm not saying that that's enough, because I will be doing this for the foreseeable future. But I'm hopeful that that level of repetition and the focus on just those ideas will start to ingrain into the subconscious. The other thing that I've done is I'm going back to 50Ks. I know I seem pretty wishy-washy on some of these things. I will make a statement, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm not going to do, and then I change my mind and I make adjustments. And I will tell you that is not me being wishy-washy. That is me actually proactively evaluating myself and certain factors of what I'm doing and how I'm doing them, and discovering that maybe this last decision didn't serve my ultimate needs and my ultimate goals. So that's something that came up for me today as I've gone through this process. Going back to the 50Ks, I don't need to be gunning for $1,000 days. I just need to do small, steady gains on my trading days. Not even on my trading days, but on the overall big picture, slow, steady increase, including losing days that I need to be able to walk away from. So, tough day. Again, it's one of those things that it's hard to look at this and go, tough day, up $950. It's one of my best days I've had on a single account. But it's fruit from a poisonous root. Is that the saying? I don't know. Fruit from the poisonous tree. I don't. Anyway, whatever. Which ultimately is a trap and will lead me down the wrong path. Which will lead me down the path of continuing to needlessly, and it is a needless effort of blowing accounts. So anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging with me through this. I appreciate you guys, all of your support. You guys have been so unbelievably kind and gracious. And I don't know. I want to say forgiving, but what's there to forgive? You guys just love on me, and I can't begin to tell you how much that means to me. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for hanging out with me today, as well as every other day. God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. I may come back with some videos tomorrow and Friday. We'll see. But I will for sure see you guys on Monday. Love y'all.